is an initiative that is actually jumping off and building on a lot of what NC WIT's been doing, and we're working closely with NC WIT and many of you in the room, and some of you in the room are in fact on our advisory boards and things like that. So you are computer scientists for the most part, but you're not marketers, and generally you're not marketers, and generally you're not aren't good storytellers. I'm with WGBH Public Television in Boston. And why we're involved in this is that as television, we're kind of used to telling a good story. And we're used to figuring out what works with our audience, or we don't have anybody in our audience. So .diva started out as more mundane, new image for computing. And what we wanted to do was look at kids around the country and say, why aren't they going into computing? What do they want in a career? And we learned that boys and girls think about computing in very different ways. So there wasn't going to be a one-size-fits-all, which we knew ahead of time, but we didn't know exactly where the sizes would be cut. And really, girls overall, independent of ethnicity or socioeconomic conditions or anything else, all think computing is boring and hard and not something they want to do. Not all, but the vast majority. So we figured we'd focus first and foremost on girls. And through our market research and focus groups and national surveys, we tested many kinds of brands. And the .diva brand was the one that resonated most strongly. And I'm using notes so I can hopefully stay on time. So what we learned was that image and reputation is not just something that athletes and celebrities have and that they want to protect, but that companies and even disciplines need to project the right image to gain the trust, acceptance, and popularity of their target audiences. And so basically what we found is that it's the field itself that's sending the wrong messages to girls. They're getting the messages that we're generally sending. And in fact, I looked in the book that we all got today, and where it all said my research interest was. So some of the things were programming languages, compilers, parallel computing, software architecture. What do you think a high school girl thinks when you walk into a classroom or they come into your room and you tell them that? They don't even know what those words mean for the most part. And if they do, what they're hearing is, so what? It's boring. So why .diva? .diva is an identity that girls can take on their own. Diva not in the sense of my Evian isn't cold enough, but in the sense of I'm confident, I'm powerful, I can master something. And it's also feminine. And so it shows both sides of women. And the key attributes of the brand is that it can embrace socially relevant messages that are also important to girls. What we wanted to focus on is that messaging or computing, and we're just using .diva here as actually a synonym for computing. Computing is creative, computing connects people, computing changes the world, but how, the so what of computing, not how you get there, but so what, why do you want to be there? So you don't talk about logic and you don't talk about algorithms to start out with, and you don't talk about, are you good in math? Maybe you can go into computing. You talk about, this is what computing does. They create music apps, they create movie animations, media that bring people together, things that help to protect the environment. Once you tell them why they should care about it, then you can tell them what they need to do to get there. So a couple of things that we're doing to try to attract girls and to try to change the messages that we all give to girls about computing is the website .diva.org. It's up now. It's only in its 1.0 phase. 1.6 is going to launch at the end of the month. The 1.75 will launch in the fall. 2.0 will launch by the end of the year. And it's going to be better each time. But I think it was Mitch that in his talk said something about connect with their passion. And in fact, he couldn't have said it better. I don't know if you can see on the far right-hand side, but one of the big features of this site is, what's your passion? And so a girl will say, wouldn't necessarily say computing is my passion, but they might say the environment is, or humanitarian help is, or architecture, or art, or psychology is my passion. And so if they choose one of those several dozen topics and they go to something, they click on it and they go to a page, it shows them some real jobs in computing that focus on those things. So for example, if you chose the environment, it might say that you can create software that monitors pollution in the Great Lakes, or wireless sensors that track endangered polar bears in the Arctic. And so those are things where girls will say, now that's cool. I'm really interested in endangered species, but I'm also I can figure out ways to do it and combine, I'm kind of good at this kind of stuff too, and I can figure out other ways to do it. So you get them interested in computing by showing them the actual applications of computing. And you don't talk about, well, we're going to play with Scratch today, or we're going to work with Alice, because to me, I'm not in computing, I work for public television. Alice is the name of a woman, and Scratch, I think of Itchy and Scratchy on The Simpsons. So I'm not sure what those things are. I mean, I've learned, but you wouldn't necessarily lead with that when you're trying to reach a group of kids, girls or any kids, that are unsure about what they want to do. So these are results we can use. We have market-tested messages. We have all kinds of resources. We're developing coalitions of partners. We've tested everything, and we're disseminating everything. There's going to be an article in the Chronicle of Higher Ed later this summer that talks about the process that we used. And I'm out of time. There are brochures on the table outside. Please visit our website. And these are some of the ways you can get involved and get in touch with us.